Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. Now, today I'm going to do a quick transfer roundup of some of the hottest rumours that are going on in world football. And the first place to start is between Arsenal and Man City. Now, it's actually a little bit of a shame that Chris isn't here to join me today. If you've never seen our channel before, I am a Liverpool fan. My name is Dan, and Chris is a beloved Arsenal fan. So I'm sure he'll be really excited to know that Arsenal's deal for Gabriel Jesus is inching closer and closer. The Brazilian, I believe, is being offered 200 grand a week by Arsenal. Oh, like a hell of a lot of money here to be their new number 9. An exciting signing, surely, for the Gunners. Let me know, guys, in the comments down below. Is this a signing that you feel can take Arsenal to that next level? Champions League or potential sort of, title challenge going forward. Also, Arsenal look to be bringing in a very, very exciting midfielder from Leicester City, Yuri Tillerman. Now, I think this signing would be fantastic. It's been rumoured roughly about £25 million, I believe. I think Tillerman is in the last year of his contract, hence why it's such a lower fee. I've been after Tillerman for years, at Liverpool. He's a brilliant player for Leicester City. I think last year we were rumoured to be really interested in him, and it was about 70, 80 million before Leicester would even sort of, even think about letting him go. So to potentially lose Tillerman for 25 million is going to be a hefty blow for Leicester, who had a really challenging season last year. If you've seen any of our videos before, I would definitely recommend one that we made the other day, reacting to our Premier League predictions and also the actual Premier League prediction video. It's quite funny because we're quite wrong. I predicted Leicester to finish 5th for like a 3rd season in a row. I was a big fan of Leicester, Brendan Rodgers, all of this. And last year, really, it just didn't click, unfortunately, for them. So losing Tillerman and obviously Jamie Vardy getting that little bit older, let me know, Leicester fans, in the comments down below. Is this a signing that you're happy to see Tillerman go? Do you feel that actually he's not going to improve anymore at Leicester? You've seen the very best of him. It's time to move him on and bring someone else in. Or as a Leicester fan, are you a little bit worried about this? Tillerman has been one of your better players for the past number of years now. But from an Arsenal point of view, the guy is sheer quality, isn't he, really? It'll be interesting to see what Arteta does. He has played a 4-2-3-1 really throughout the time that he's been there. Saka and Partey, the two holding midfielders. I know that these guys have had injury problems, particularly Partey, and sometimes Saka has to play out in different positions. You've got an exciting player in the Conga, but he's not quite ready yet. So someone like Tillerman coming in is only going to boost Arsenal's chances, surely, this season, going for top 4. But it'll be interesting to know whether Arteta sticks with a 4-2-3-1. Is he going to only pick 2 of those out of probably those midfield 3 options, Saka, Partey, and Tillerman? I don't think Lokonga is quite ready yet from what I'd seen. Will he stick to 4-2-3-1? Will he go to a 4-3-3, try and perhaps implement all 3 of these guys in the midfield? I don't know. But 2 very, very exciting signings for Arsenal if they happen, and it does look quite likely. However, some news broke last night and is circulating online, specifically on Twitter. Saka could be on the move to Manchester City. I really hope this does not happen as a Liverpool fan. They've just brought in Erling Haaland, an incredible piece of business before the transfer window. The transfer window hasn't even opened yet, guys. And with some of the biggest deals has already happened. Mbappe has become the new president of France, and hence why he's staying at PSG. And Haaland is going to be paid, just under £500,000 a week to banging goals at the Etihad. It's mental. And we've still got 3 more days before the bloody thing opens. So, I think last week, after sort of the signing had pretty much been announced, their sporting director came out and said, there's more to come. You're thinking, bloody hell, like, seriously, give the rest of us a chance. But, begrudgingly as a Liverpool fan, it would be really interesting to see Saka at Manchester City. Would he fit there? Personally, I think he would, certainly. Riyad Mahrez plays on that right-hand side. I mean, Saka is very versatile. He could probably play on either left or right, perhaps even in a midfield 3. Who knows? But we're seeing, this rumour has come from the Daily Mail, so it's a little bit, with a pinch of salt. And Liverpool's name has now been thrown in. I don't believe that. So any Liverpool fans out there, I don't get excited about Saka coming to Anfield. I'd love to see it, but that's not going to happen. So it'd be interesting to see this. He's young, he's English, he's going to cost an absolute fortune. Usually I would expect a transfer like this to really drag throughout the whole window. But Man City have shown, really, if they want someone, they'll get it done like that. They'll come in, they'll pay the money that needs to be paid, they'll give the guy the wages that he wants, they'll get it done. So let me know, Man City and Arsenal fans, Manchester City fans, are you excited about this? Is this the player that you want? Is he good enough to come in and replace the likes of Sterling and Riyad Mahrez and so on and so on? And Arsenal fans, how do you feel about this? This is your star boy. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad Chris isn't here, because this would be a bloody depressing podcast if Chris was here, knowing that possibly his favourite player could well be on the move. But yeah, Arsenal fans, let me know in the comments down below. Would you be happy with this? Letting him go, would that then potentially give more of an opportunity for the likes of Smith Rowe, who doesn't tend to play all that much? I think Arsenal's first 11, you probably have Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Odegaard through the middle. So actually, Saka leaving, you might already have a bit of a ready-made replacement in Emile Smith Rowe, give him a little bit more game time. I'm sure that you would be able to charge as much as you want for him. 100 million, maybe. Would you as an Arsenal fan be happy with your recruitment team, the scouts, to go out and bring someone in who could be a direct replacement? But that would be a big bloody transfer. Saka, the next big thing, really, for England to go to Manchester City after they just signed Erling Haaland. As a Liverpool fan, I'm hoping it's not going to happen. Now then, as a Liverpool fan, and a little bit of a segue there, Liverpool seem quite busy, even though the transfer window hasn't opened, and usually this is not the case. I'll be sitting here thinking, we're not sort of linked to any player. It's bloody depressing. We're linked to everyone. And that's because Sadio Mane, it looks like he's going to be leaving, which is heartbreaking, depressing. Liverpool actually rejected a £20 million offer from Bayern Munich for Sadio Mane just a couple of nights ago. It seems that Bayern Munich are going to come back in pretty quickly with, I believe, sort of around 30, 35 million pounds, potentially, £4 or £5 million more in add-ons that might take it up to 40 million. Yeah, again, it's not Mane's true worth in the world of football. He would be worth probably double that minimum, arguably. But 30 years of age, 1 year left on his current contract. In 6 months' time as well, he would be able to sign for Bayern Munich for free, obviously a foreign team. So, when you put it into context, 30, 35 million pound for him, it would be good value. No hard feelings, certainly, to see Mane go. He's given 6 years at this football club. He's won everything, absolutely everything. He was pivotal in the Premier League, Champions League, and obviously the domestic double that we completed this season. It'd be so sad to see him go, but again, it's a fresh start, and a very exciting player has been heavily linked, and that's Darwin Nunes. Well, actually, everyone has kind of been linked. Harry Kane was briefly linked. That was the dream for me. Tammy Abraham, because he was caught on video saying, I'm going to join you guys next season, which was a little bit weird. But the one name that hasn't really gone away has been Darwin Nunes. Now, I really like Nunes, but I think Liverpool fans, and probably football fans in general, are a little bit split on him, because Benfica want £100 million, first of all, which is like, Jesus. I don't think anyone's going to pay that, personally. He's a brilliant finisher. There's no doubt about that. That is his greatest attribute. He's rapid. He's strong as hell. But some of his hold-up play, his passing at times is a little bit poor. But the kid is 22, and he's got an incredible amount of potential. And things like hold-up play and passing, those can develop. But when someone's a natural goal scorer, I think you've got to go and get the deal done, personally. So Paul Joyce, brilliant reporter for Liverpool and Everton. So I'd say if you're a fan of either one of those clubs, if you're going to follow any journalist or anyone sort of football related on Twitter, make sure you follow Paul Joyce. And no, I'm not in affiliation with Paul Joyce, so I don't know why I'm promoting him. But the reason why I suggest following him is he doesn't post rumors. He doesn't post any of that kind of crap. He very rarely posts, but when he does, it's fact. And the other day he posted about James Milner signing a new deal, which is great news, I think, as a Liverpool fan. 1 year, reduced wages. What more do you want? He's vice captain. He's so important to Liverpool. He's so important to things that we don't see, on the training pitch, in the dressing room, behind the scenes kind of stuff. I'd love to see James Milner stay and do his coaching, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he feels like he could probably keep playing for a few more years, which is fair enough. I think he turned down a couple of more lucrative deals, one to America, and I think a couple from Premier League teams that were going to offer him, a 2-year deal and potentially more money. So that's great to see. He's obviously very happy at Liverpool. He's happy to stay on reduced wages. He's vital to this football club, in my opinion. So one more year of James Milner is a great piece of business. Paul Joyce also tweeted that Liverpool were interested in Darwin Nunes, which got everyone really excited because like I said, when this guy tweets, it's a fact. He doesn't tweet rumors. He's the inside man. So everyone was getting like, oh, we're going to get him. But he also, later on in the tweet, said that Liverpool won't pay him, just purely with any cost, meaning that if Benfica want 100 million, Liverpool walk away, which, I think most of us would have realized that anyway. Liverpool don't tend to spend big in transfer windows. Obviously, the Van Dijk situation, the Alisson situation. And I hate to bring it up because people go, oh, Coutinho, net spend, all this. But it is relevant. We had sold Coutinho for 140 million. We bring in a couple of players, and we also had the success of getting to a Champions League final, which obviously you get usually, probably about 80 million or thereabouts. I believe sort of pulled that number out of thin air. So we should have a lot of money from getting the Champions League final this season, and we haven't spent like loads and loads, in the past couple of years. We brought in, Jota 40 million, Kanate I think 30 million, Thiago sort of 20, 25 million. So, and obviously Luis Diaz I think was about 50 odd million. So Liverpool have spent in the past couple of years. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say they haven't, but they haven't spent in like the regions where sort of certain other teams like Manchester United have spent like a lot of money over the past couple of years. So, could we go out and sign a Darwin Nunes? I don't know. Personally, I'm shocked that Liverpool are even interested in him. That was a part of the Paul Joyce tweet that kind of got me excited the most, because he's not, I wouldn't say he's a typical Klopp or Liverpool player and how we play at the moment. He's a little bit more direct. He's a little bit more raw. His build-up play isn't perhaps as precise as someone like a Firmino or a Sadio Mane. But what he has is his goals, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. And when you've got a player who can score goals in the way that he does, I think you have to make allowances. And I think you've got to go and get the deal done. If Liverpool line up next season with Diaz on the left, Salah on the right, Nunes through the middle, with someone like Jota on the bench, it's just so much more of a goal threat. And I feel like I'm being a bit harsh on Diogo Jota here. 29, he was in 29 goal involvements this season, goals and assists, that is. The guy is lethal, but we've seen in this season he does dip in and out of form. So having someone like Nunes come in probably would be our most ruthless and lethal attacker, which sounds a bit bizarre seeing as we've got Mo Salah, but as we all know, as good as Mo Salah is, and he scores a lot of goals, he's not the most clinical. He usually needs about 2, 3, sometimes 4 chances just to bag one, which probably shows how many chances Liverpool do create a game. So when you've got someone like a Nunes up top, who does look like that ruthless player, it could be very, very exciting. Now, I don't want this to be a video purely on Liverpool, because I want this to be a football channel that sort of covers every team, really. But there is a lot of activity at the club, which is exciting. And it looks like we're going to be bringing in a young Scottish fullback, Calvin Ramsey, for £4 million, there or thereabouts, from Aberdeen. I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be the next Cafu, or he could be the next John Flanagan. I don't know. But it's an area that I think we needed to improve in. We had a very exciting youngster in Nico Williams who went out on loan. I thought that was a really strange deal. I'd imagine we're probably going to sell him this summer, which will be a shame, but obviously the lad wants more game time, which I get. In recent seasons, we have to play Gomez there. We have to play Milner there. And both guys have been remarkable in doing their job. Milner in particular, he just blows my mind of what he does on that football pitch. And Gomez, at times this season, has played right back, and he's done a really, really good job. But it's obvious he's not a right back, and he wants to play centre back more. So bringing in this guy, he's only 18. I don't know whether he's going to play or not. I really don't. I'm a little bit sceptical. A part of me thinks he might play in the youth team. He might play in cup games this season and maybe the season following, and then he might go out on loan. And then by the time he's sort of 22, 23, maybe we might sell him for a profit for like 15, 20 million. I hope that doesn't happen. In a dream world, I'd love to see him come in and take to the Premier League. I was going to say a catchphrase there, but I can't think of one. But I want to see him come into the Premier League, take to it quickly, be bombing up and down, getting assists and crunching tackles, all of this, and actually putting Trent's position at risk so that we push Trent more into midfield, which I think would be really exciting. So that's what I hope. I'm a little bit skeptical, and I kind of think maybe he's just a young, exciting player who might come in for the odd game here or there. But in really important league games, I wouldn't be surprised if we still have Gomez or Milner even play those positions. I hope I'm wrong. But, if we sign this guy, then good luck to him. I hope that we get to see him a lot more. Now, then moving on from Liverpool, which you'll be, happy to hear, let's talk about Chelsea, who are heavily linked with Dembele from Barcelona. It looks like they're going to be signing this guy for free. Well, free. I mean, it looks like they're going to be paying him about 400 grand a week. Hell of a lot of money. I'll happily take that, mate. But what they're going to be getting is a lot of quality here. And let's just talk about Barcelona for a second. Coutinho, signed for 140 million about 4.5 years ago now. Dembele, I believe, was a little bit less, probably about 100 million 5 years ago. Dembele leaves for free. Coutinho has gone to Aston Villa roughly for about 20 million, there or thereabouts, might be a little bit more than that. Barcelona spent nearly 300 million pounds on these two players. I think, if my maths is, I'm not brilliant at maths, but I think they spent roughly 300 million pounds on these two players. They've lost them both for 20 million or 25. That is shocking. That might be the worst piece of business ever. Forget football. That might be the worst piece of business that has ever happened. That is appalling for Barcelona, but great news for Villa and potentially great news for Chelsea. So I want to know, Chelsea fans, are you excited by the signing? I would be. This guy's worked under Tuchel before at Dortmund, and he was that good that Barcelona paid 100 million pounds for him. And even when Barcelona were having a poor period of time, I always thought that he was their standout player. He was their best player, but he was always a player that never really got, much credit online. I mean, Twitter's hard to base, opinions off. It's pretty toxic at the best of times, but Barcelona fans just never really, from the outside looking in, they never really seem to take to him. I don't know why, maybe because of his injury problems, potentially. And that is the risk here that Chelsea are going to be taking. His injury record over the past few seasons has been really, really poor. I really feel for the guy. But if Chelsea can get his fitness up, they've got a guy who will bag more assists, more goals, and probably anyone else in their team, I would argue. Because this guy is clinical. He is ruthless in the final third. And it looks like, I don't know the situation with Lukaku. That looks like a mess, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I really like Chelsea, actually, which is strange to a Liverpool fan. But I mean, I don't like the club, but I like Tuchel, and I like the formation, and I like their players and the way that they play. I really rate them quite highly. And if injuries go their luck a little bit more this season, I think they'll challenge for the title. At the end of the season, sort of City and Liverpool kind of neck and neck, and I think Chelsea really dropped off. But I don't think that gap is as big as what we saw. I think Chelsea will be neck and neck with whoever wins the title next season. I hope it, as a Liverpool fan, it'll be us, but it'll probably be City, won't it? So I think they'll be neck and neck with Chelsea. I really rate Chelsea that highly, actually, and Tuchel, I think, is one of the best managers in world football. That back five has worked brilliantly, but maybe we could see a formation change going forward from Chelsea, because it'll be interesting to see what they do, bringing in attacking players. Obviously, Dembele looks like he's going to come in. Pulisic actually looks like he could be on his way out. He was linked with Liverpool, which I thought was really, really random, actually. He's a top player. He's very exciting, but again, injury prone, and, final product just is not there, unfortunately. So they're going to have Dembele. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they've still got Pulisic, Werner, Havertz, Ziyech. We'll just discard Lukaku for the moment. Havertz is that false nine. I think personally, it works to a degree. He's a brilliant player, Havertz. I really like him, but he doesn't score enough. Werner doesn't score enough. Ziyech can be a bit hot and cold. Mount, I really like Mount, but I think I'd rather see him in a midfield three than out on the wing. So with Dembele coming in, you'd imagine him playing on the right-hand side. If they stick to their formation, that means either sticking with Lukaku, which I think isn't going to happen, let's be honest, sticking with Kai Havertz up top, which again doesn't probably get you enough goals, or chucking a Timo Werner up there, which again, same result. Regarding the Lukaku situation, Chelsea have got to get him out of the door somehow. I don't know how, because who's going to want him really after the way that he has performed for Chelsea for the past 12 months? Very few clubs want him. The only club that I think really want him is Inter Milan, which on one hand is great. On the other hand, for Chelsea, it's not, because they can't pay anywhere near what Chelsea want. You guys splashed 90 million on this guy 12 months ago. Inter Milan do not have the money. They're not going to pay 90 million. So either you're going to have to sell him right on the cheap, or it's been rumoured that he might go back to Italy on loan, which I don't think really does Chelsea any favours. I mean, probably gets him off the wage bill, or literally splits the wage bill in terms of, Inter would pay like half and Chelsea would pay the other half. Or I read on Sky Sports News a little bit earlier, just before I made this video, that Inter have offered something like they will bring him in now and they'll pay at a later date, which I think is shocking, would be ridiculous if Chelsea accept that. So I think Chelsea are in a bit of a tricky situation here. Like, either let him go on loan, either let him just go and then get paid at a later date, or sell him for, undervalue him for a cheaper fee. Either way, I think Chelsea have got to bring in a number 9. I don't know who that number 9 is. I haven't really seen Chelsea linked to any strikers. And that's why, again, I'm not getting overly excited about Nunes, because I think he's been linked to Manchester United, who have proven in the past few years that they are willing to pay over the odds, let's be honest. And if it gets into a bidding war, which I imagine Benfica will want, Man United will be willing to pay more money than Liverpool and more wages. If Chelsea get rid of Lukaku, Darwin Nunes might be a player that Tuchel and Chelsea are very interested in. Again, they might have a little bit more money to spend, or be willing to spend, than Liverpool. So, Nunes could be an option for Chelsea if they sort of get rid of Lukaku, and that might mean that, where do you play Havertz? Because I think you've got to play Havertz. So it could be a whole change at Chelsea next season. Could be a formation change. Could go to a 4-2-3-1, give Havertz a go in the number 10, playing off an out-and-out striker, or 4-3-3, abandon the 5 at the back. I think Chelsea are also going to need to bring in another centre-back, having just lost Rudiger to Real Madrid, and potentially another midfielder. And Kante is getting a little bit older now. Injuries are piling up, and he's been heavily linked with a move to Manchester United, which I thought was quite strange. So, and Chelsea have been heavily linked with Declan Rice, haven't they, for a couple of years now? So Chelsea bringing in Dembele, which I think will happen. I think they will bring in a striker. They will look to bring in a centre back, and I think they'll want to bring in a midfielder. So 4 signings. I didn't really need to do that, but 4 potential signings for Chelsea. And it would be interesting. I've said interesting about 100 times in this video. I'm curious, there we go, to see who they get and how much money they spend, because obviously they've just lost Roman Abramovich as the owner. Obviously spent a ton of money at Chelsea over the last 20 or so years. This new guy coming in, he's going to want to spend money, I'd imagine. Chelsea fans are going to get excited. There's going to be an expectation at that club over the past few years that they spend money, they're ruthless with managers, that they only the best will do for this football club. If they bring in Dembele for 400 grand a week, I think that they'll want a big striker. They want players that I've just said. So I think the owner will go out and splash the money for Chelsea. Similarly, I think the Glazers at Manchester United are in a position where they will need to go out and spend money. I know it's not the same situation, obviously, with new owners. So, the new guy at Chelsea, I think, will want to impress. He will definitely want to impress the Chelsea fans with his first opportunity to go out and sort of really show off what he can do. I think the Glazers will want to do something similar with Ten Hag. United has been toxic for a number of years. We've seen fan protests, all of this. The Glazers will know the fans are not afraid to speak out and, voice their concerns about their club. I'd imagine most, if not all, Manchester United fans are feeling positive at the moment. Ten Hag is in, strong air of positivity, which hasn't been around Manchester United for a little while now. The Glazers will want to go and bag the talent or the top players that Ten Hag wants. What they don't want is stories being leaked to the papers, like has been in the past couple of years, where the likes of Mourinho, probably even David Moyes, Solskjaer, they haven't been able to get their number 1 targets in, so they've had to settle. They haven't been able to get the players that they want in. That's not what the Glazers will not want. That Manchester United will not want that. You're right, mate. Just joining the podcast, are you? Just a little cat, just joining the video there. So I think both Chelsea and Manchester United will look to spend big because they'll want to please their own fan base. So I think that's it, really, in terms of sort of transfer rumours that I can sort of think of at the moment. I suppose, talking about Manchester United, De Jong is a player. He's been heavily linked with the club. 70-80 million has been the rumour that's sort of been going around. It's an awful lot of money. And personally, I don't think he's worth that. I think he's a top player, very exciting player, but I still think he's potential more than the finished product. And I don't think you want to be splashing 70, 80 million euros or pounds or whatever on a player who is potential. They've done that with Jadon Sancho. I personally think, it will work out for Sancho. I think he's too good, but he has struggled massively this season. They splashed a lot of money on Harry Maguire, and it hasn't worked up until this point. They splashed, a pretty hefty amount of money as well on Van der Beek. I believe it was about 50 million. I might be wrong in that, actually. But again, it hasn't worked out at all. It might do with Ten Hag coming in, and those two have worked together in the past. But Ten Hag does seem to be targeting players that he's worked with. And that's another interesting point, isn't it? He wants potentially Van der Beek to come back in. He wants De Jong. Anthony from Ajax, another exciting player, has been linked. The Ajax centre-back, really bad with names. I do apologise. I think it's Timber. I might be butchering that name massively. I apologise, mate. Those are 4 players either from Ajax or have worked with him at Ajax. So, on one hand, that makes sense, but Ten Hag might be in a situation where he might go, you know what, I've worked with these guys before. A little bit like what Jurgen Klopp was like when he first joined Liverpool. He was linked with every single Dortmund player, every single German player in world football. And actually, he kind of went, other than Mario Götze, who he seems to love for some weird reason, he never seemed to want to go after any other player, player that he's worked with in the past. So it'd be interesting to see. He very much made a point that, yeah, I've worked with these guys before in the past. I've won trophies with them. They're great, but I want to move on. I want to work with new people. It'd be interesting to see. And there's that word again, interesting. Does Ten Hag want to go back to players that he's worked with in the past, that he knows, probably feels a bit safe with? Or does he want to go and go, you know what? I've worked with them before. Not interested now. I want to look to the future. I want to work with new players. So Manchester United fans, let me know what you would prefer. Would you prefer for Ten Hag to go and get those players that he has a good sort of history with, that can work under him, or would you prefer that actually no, you don't look backwards. You don't look for the players that have worked with him in the past. You look forward and you look for brand new players. I mean, there's no real right or wrong answer there. I'm just interested to see the Manchester United fans' opinions on that. So I'm going to wrap this video up here, guys. I've probably waffled on for an awful long time here on some of the transfer rumours going around. We've still got a few more days before the window actually opens. So certainly let me know in the comments down below, are you excited by the players that your teams are linked with, and also who you would want to see your teams linked with? I'm going to do another video where, some of the other clubs, the likes of sort of Tottenham, Everton, Newcastle, and if there's any teams out there that you want me to talk about, then just let me know in the comments section down below. But either way, thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.